Richly. I've recorded a fascinating conversation this morning with Lenny Henry, of all people. And today we've got, well, a legendary actor for you. BBC Newcastle Radio for the North East, the huge star of British stage and screen, best known for playing a certain Belgian detective for 25 years. He's just published his memoirs, Life Through a Lens, as the title suggests. It's not just words, but includes a huge amount of photographs that he took himself. And he, of course, is David Suchet. What people might be surprised to learn about you is, apart from, obviously being a fine actor, you are this keen, obsessive photographer. When did you first get the photo bug?
On my grandfather's knee when I was 8. He was a brilliant press photographer in Fleet Street, and he was the first, one of the first press photographers to use the small, what we call 35mm camera, which is the small camera that you can just hold in your hands, rather than the big box plate cameras. And because of that, he was able to photograph people close up and be unobtrusive. It really made his career, and I started being very interested in what he was doing. And literally, when I was 8, he'd put me on his knee, teach me all the technical stuff about taking a photograph manually, send me out with a little camera and develop the film and talk to me about the pictures that I did. And I got so fascinated with this that I carried that camera all the time. I carry a camera.
Because the memoirs, which have just been published, Behind the Lens, so rather than, a standard autobiography, this is combining photos and your stories. Did the idea of, just writing a traditional, if you will, life story not appeal to you?
Not at all. I've never, and this is a personal thing, and I don't mean to be rude about anybody that's written them and been very successful, but it does not appeal to me to read sequentially. I did this, then I did this, then I did this, none that did. Especially now in the age of internet and everything, everybody can find out the history of my work.
Yes.
Anybody can. What they can't find out is, who am I? What sort of man am I behind all the characters that I've played? And this is what people now, that whenever I go out of a stage door, they see me, and when I speak to them normally, they go, "Oh my goodness, you don't sound like Hercule Poirot," and they, they suddenly say, "Gosh, you're nothing like him." What? And they start being interested. So this book is, you open the covers of this book, you'll see photographs that I've taken, not just what I see, but how I see the very things I photograph. And hopefully they're not just snaps. They'll sort of hopefully excite you, but give you an idea of what touches me emotionally enough to want to photograph whatever I choose to photograph. And in the book, there are little chapters, not long, they're sort of coffee table book. You can read 4 or 5 pages on how I feel about fame, how I feel, of course, about photography, what I feel about music, how do I feel about Poirot, reflections on how I feel about Poirot now, what have been my personal highs and lows.
People actually are very keen to know about that. I mean, take Poirot. I suppose a question you might get asked all the time is, because you made such a success of him, did you ever feel overshadowed by him? That actor's, typecasting thing? It's like, oh no, not Poirot again,
No, that never. It's a very good question, and it's quite logical question. But that never happened to me, because before I started playing Poirot, I already had a theatre audience. I was over 23 years in the theatre before I even started doing Poirot. Yeah. I had done 3 series: The Life of Freud, Blot, On the Landscape, and Oppenheimer. So much television already. But Poirot launched me and released me into a wider career than I could have possibly imagined. And people will remember, I've always said this, people will remember me as Poirot, and the obit in the paper will be all about Poirot. But there will be another section, I hope, about all the other wonderful opportunities and roles that the character has allowed me to play, because people know me as a character actor.
Yes, well, I saw you in Doctor Who a couple of years ago, and I think I read a quote saying, when you were asked to do Doctor Who, you said yes straight away. Because
Yes.
in a way, it was surprising, David, that you hadn't done it before.
Well, it was like when I was doing Poirot, I got actors ringing me up saying, can I be in one? I just want to be in a Poirot. And I felt this about Doctor Who.
I want to be in it, yeah.
I want to be in it. And when my agent said, you've had an offer, I said, say yes. She said, well, you haven't even read the script. I said, I don't care. I want to be with my mate Peter Capaldi and be in a Doctor Who.
And
Great.
why not? And why not? And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Thank you.
I find it absolutely fascinating that David Suchet, and we recorded this conversation a couple of days back, is so different. I mean, he touched on it there. People expect him to be the characters, Poirot. People expect him to have that moustache and talk in that way. Of course, that's why he's an actor. Polluting the earth. A northeast scientist.
So it's a different. I can't do that, for example. And yeah.
6 tonight, I think. The Capture, amazing. BBC One. More about this when we do the telly in about 10 minutes' time. And talking of which, a man that's no stranger to the small screen, or the big one for that matter, is my guest, David Suchet, talking about his new book, his memoirs. You were saying before about your love of photography, and there you were, sat on your granddad's knee, learning about taking pictures. Cameras, of course, have changed so much over the years. Have you gone fully digital now, David?
I'm fully digital. I'm not as good as I'd like to be on my iPhone because, that's the camera you always have with you now, is your phone.
Can you take a decent snap on an iPhone, or do you need expensive kit?
No, I don't need expensive kit. I need good lenses, but I like to have the chance to photograph beyond just what I see. I try and do it in an atmospheric way. So you look at pictures of trees, for example, and yes, they're trees, but they're photographed in a particular way that means something to me, so that when you look at it, you'll learn about how I see a tree. So it's I can't do that on the iPhone. I'm not clever enough yet.
When you say the way that you see a tree, is the way that you see a tree going to be vastly different to the way that I see a tree?
Yes, because we all look at the world in different ways. The greatest lens that anybody has ever been given is your eye. That is God-given to you at birth. And you will see the world, and you'll see objects, and you'll see landscapes, and you'll see animals, and you'll see your parents and friends, how you see them. I will look at the same things and see them in a different way. And therefore, one tree may represent a home for insects for me. One tree reflected in water, like on a canal, they seem like triffids. And I will try and photograph them in the way that I see them rather than what I see them. So when you flip through this book of photographs, you'll learn a lot about me, because I only take photographs of things that I react to emotionally. And therefore, you'll get to know the man behind the lens.
And tell me, David, did you take many photos when you were on the set of, say, Poirot, behind-the-scenes stuff, or not?
Well, this is going to come as a surprise. The answer to that is no. I've written about Poirot in my other book, Poirot and Me, and that's a full book about the 25 years of me being Poirot. But in this book, no, because I was on every day, and I was in nearly every scene. And although I had my camera with me, I could only really photograph when I'm off the set. So you'll get my portraiture of Philip Jackson, Hugh Fraser, Pauline Moran, and other people that I was with, rather than anything on the set or that would have taken a long time to take.
And of course, you're so busy, you're not only remembering where to stand and taking directions and saying the lines, well, doing your job. You can't be whipping out a camera every 5 minutes.
No, and also because I had to stay in character. So it was a very difficult thing just to switch off and take photographs. I didn't have that opportunity.
I have to ask you, I mean, it's a while since the last episode of Poirot now. You managed to film every Agatha Christie story, which is an achievement in itself. Do you miss him, or are you pleased to have moved on?
Two things here. I'm asked this question, and I always take it very seriously. I am pleased I've moved on, but I cannot deny that I miss him very much. I knew him for 25 years. I lived with this man for 25 years. I became him. I was him for so many days on end, day after day after day, with this person. Yeah, I miss him a great deal.
Oh. David Suchet, absolute pleasure to talk to you again. Behind the Lens is the book, and a very special one it is too. Thank you, my friend.
Ah, bless you. Thank you. Lovely to be with you.
Simon Logan.
BBC Newcastle, radio for